I'd like to echo the remarks that the Noble Lord Deben has just made about the blame game and the importance it is that we all work with the government to do what we can to try and tackle the fundamental issues that really are influencing the nature of this huge crisis. I've said it before, I repeat, there are 117 million people who are displaced in the world today. And that isn't the fault of the last government, it's not the fault of this government, but that's the reality. And people are going to keep on coming, trying to come from places like Sudan, which was mentioned in the previous group of amendments. I attended the all-party group on Sudan's meeting at lunchtime today. The situation in Darfur is absolutely horrific. It's a place I've visited in the past. 2 million people were displaced from Darfur. 2 million. 200 to 300,000 people died there. If you or I were in Darfur, we too would try to leave, and we too would probably make dangerous journeys. Most people who leave Darfur travel through Chad. They try to get to Libya and to the Mediterranean. Most never even succeed in making that journey. They die on that part of the journey. And if they get into the Mediterranean, they probably reach the seabed there as well. If they make it to the continent, then finally some of them get to the English Channel. And we then talk about this as being our crisis. This is their crisis as much as it is ours. And if we don't tackle the fundamental reasons why people are being displaced, whether it's the nature of, for instance, the current almost untalked about war in Sudan that has led to this massive surge in numbers of people leaving that part of the world. And that's reflected in the figures that the government themselves publish about the people who are in these boats coming from specifically places like Sudan. If we don't tackle that, and if we don't tackle the root causes, this is going to keep coming round again and again and again, whoever the government of the day may be. And that's why I agreed with what was said in the previous group of amendments and reiterate the importance of finding international solutions. The 1951 Convention on Refugees was right in its time. It was needed to be drafted in the way that it was drafted at the time. But we still need that convention. Yes, it probably does need to be reappraised. And the Joint Committee on Human Rights has been thinking about this too, and looking at Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which the Noble Lord, the Minister and others have referred to. These things are capable of being examined, as the Noble Lord, the Minister, has said again and again this afternoon. But they can also be reformed. And there are indeed 9 countries like Denmark, that wrote to the European Court and to the Council of Europe. Well, they sent an email, and I think Lord Jermyn is right from a sedentary position in pointing out that it wasn't done through perhaps the most courteous of routes. But the point is that those 9 countries, Poland was another of them, I mean, these are not illiberal countries. These are not led by people who have a hatred of European institutions, but they were arguing that the time has come for international action to be taken by countries collectively to re-examine the things that we are signed up to see if they are fit for the present time. I have one other thing I want to say, really to those who have moved these amendments today as well. We've heard a lot about the Rwanda bill and the illegal migration bill. At the heart of that was the suggestion that that would be a deterrent, but it also would be a safe place to which we would be sending people. I've been looking again at Rwanda recently to see what the situation there is at the moment. The US State Department, in its human rights assessment of Rwanda, just a few weeks ago said this: Rwanda is raising arbitrary or unlawful killings, torture or cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment, arbitrary arrest or detention, transnational repression against individuals in another country, serious abuses in a conflict, unlawful recruitment or use of children in armed conflict by government-supported armed groups, serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom, including threats of violence against journalists, unjustified arrests or prosecutions of journalists and censorship, trafficking in persons, induced forced labour, and significant presence of any of the worst forms of child labour. This is Rwanda that is what I'm talking about, and that is the United States State Department finding within the last few weeks. Or Human Rights Watch, which made a submission to the Universal Periodic Review recently. They reported on the use of torture and other ill treatment of detainees from 2019 to 2024. I might also add that the Joint Committee on Human Rights report on transnational repression, which is with the Noble Lord Hampson at the present time, we look forward to a response to that, also identified Rwanda as one of those countries which is responsible for transnational repression. And I would point the Noble Lord in to that, those details. And last but not least, and we can't forget about the involvement of Rwanda in atrocity crimes in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with M23 raging on across eastern DRC. Earlier this year, with the All-Party Group on International Law, Justice and Accountability, I chaired, and we published on a report on CRSV in the DRC and reported on the abuses perpetrated by that group. So let's be careful what we wish for. Let's understand the nature of these countries that we say are safe places that we're going to send people to, where they will be able to have good and prosperous and decent lives. Let's be realistic and honest about the nature of these things. The Noble Baroness Lady Brinton reminded us that we'll be getting to Amendment 110 from the official opposition, which is about lists. And indeed, we can then talk more about those countries that are on that list. Rwanda is on that list, but the official opposition is pointing us towards. I just want members of the House to do what Lord Deben said, which is that we should stop blaming one another, trying to score political points, realise that this issue is now being exploited by people who have no great love of democracy, who have no great love of the rule of law, who are taking people onto the streets and capitalising on this crisis. And if we don't find solutions to this, then I fear for the stability of our communities, the dangers to law and order, and indeed to the very vulnerable people whom all of us, I think, in this House are trying to protect.
Yeah.